Motorcycling has always been with me, but I've just had big gaps in it really, and I guess it's found me when it's needed to. I have a roller coaster of a mind that sometimes is good, sometimes is bad. Because life's a challenging place, isn't it? It's a confusing mess of a place at times, but I think as soon as you're on a motorbike aiming for a sort of a far off horizon, things get clearer, things get easier to tackle. I think more than ever in the current times and climate, we need to feel purpose, and we need to feel movement beneath our feet. We need to travel more than ever. We need to travel, and we need to see, and we need to interact, and we need to meet, and we need to engage, and we need to learn, and we need to do it with some optimism that things are going to improve. Everyone's a potential adventurer. They just don't know they've got it in them yet. So really, we're starting from day one, aren't we? Dealing from year dot. So I think I was about 4 years old when my parents got me a 50cc little trail bike that we used to ride around on the back garden of my grandparents' house. And that turned into schoolboy motocross at the age of sort of 6, 7, 8, 9. An AR50 at 16, a TZR125R at 17, and then a bit of a gap till 27 when I rode a Honda CT110, an Australian postal bike back from Sydney to London. You know, sitting here now or any other day in my life, it wouldn't have made no sense at all jumping on a motorbike with 2 days of planning and riding 23,000 miles in 9 months on a 105cc ex-Australian postal bike. But in that particular moment, on that particular day, it was like the most sensible, logical thing I could ever have done. I mean, for me, the film that Fraser Byrne made maybe 6 years ago was a real eye-opener as to the journey I'd been on, and it made me see it from an outside perspective looking in, because there's times of remorse during that trip, and I sort of look back negatively sometimes on that trip, because you can't do a big trip without it costing you something, because it does force you to change a trip like that. It's very confronting of who you are as a person and who you're not, and I guess in a way you're running away from your demons, but ultimately it forces you to confront them. So there was elements of sadness when I look back, but then when somebody comes in and says, can I make a bit of a film on this and put my own spin on it, or present it in the way I see it, then it does shine a different light. And I think for the first time I saw pride in the trip and pride in the person it had made me become, and it also allowed me to address the mental health issues, and I think that connected me with other people who are equally on that same roller coaster. So that video was really important to me. I would thank him dearly for making the effort in making that video. So the bike is called Dorothy, and Dorothy got a name from a previous owner, Colin, who'd bought her to travel the Australian outback, and he'd kitted her out with different things. He sold her back to a bike shop, and I walked in one day needing a bike that were going to take me to England, and Joe at the bike shop said, I've got the perfect bike, Dorothy. It's basically a Honda CT110, the Australian Postal Service use them for 3 years, then retire them off, and then you can buy them and do whatever you want with them. And they've got quite a history of taking people around Australia and coast to coast, and other people have done big trips on them before. But you know, for me, it's a bike I've done 60,000 kilometres on, 40,000 miles. So I rode the bike Sydney to London. I had a 3-year break doing other things, trying to fit in, etc. Again, with a few days' notice, I put Dorothy on a plane to New York, flew into New York, and then with 10,000 kilometres to Alaska, at which point I finally felt like me and Dorothy's journey was kind of done in the mileage sense. So then brought her back, and she's the bike I still lead the Postie bike tours on. She's surrounded by 8 other Postie bikes that I brought back from Australia after I guided a group from Brisbane to Perth. So to me, the bikes are just amazing machines. Cheap, simple, easy to work on, reliable, and they're the real core ingredients of a motorcycle adventure machine or an exploration bike. It is a vehicle, but Dorothy for me represents sort of like the essence of, you know, the spirit of adventure, as trite, as naff as that sounds, but the fact that a little machine could take somebody on a bigger trip than I guess they could ever imagine doing. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get rid of her. So the speed shop is something that came about because of COVID. That just changed everything. I guess it's one of the moments where you either just get angry and annoyed and throw a tantrum, or you just try and find how you can find that new adventure and repurpose yourself. So the speed shop come about, I got the Australian postal bikes, I got a place, and then from there I just started finding routes around North Devon, and people come down and I take them on little adventures, and then Postie bikes grew into a slightly bigger group of bikes and Enfields and things like that. So for me, it's just like, this is just a base for people to come down and ride some motorbikes and enjoy everything that I enjoy about North Devon. So I kind of show my highlights, and I take them down the little roads and the back roads and the coastal roads and all those roads that I guess you wouldn't necessarily find if you just came down here on your own. The real focus is on just getting people out on motorbikes, just reconnecting the romance of motorcycling to the people, because some people have fell out of love with motorcycling, or they forgot what motorcycling is about. I think it reignites their enthusiasm with motorcycling, because motorcycling is a fantastic pursuit, and it's a shame more people aren't getting into motorcycling, because it's brilliant. It's a brilliant thing. After everything I've been through, I don't think I could find myself in a happier place or with the ingredients for a happier life. Realising that you can't spend your life on the road chasing far-off dreams, you've got to come back to what's in front of you. We're all fighting to become or to go and to do something that hopefully will give us some salvation. You've got to take what you've learned and make a life of it. The act of motorcycling and everything it brings to my life, and the way it gets me to see things differently and gives me a bit of clarity. I'm quite content now that what I do gives people a bit of joy, and it allows them to go off and create their own stories and their own adventures. The motorbike will be with me forever now,